24. Vince covered up a murder.
23-year-old Brooklyn girlfriend Nancy Argentino.
Back in 1983, Jimmy Superfly Snuka's girlfriend, Nancy Argentino, was found dead under suspicious circumstances. Jimmy Snuka had several inconsistencies in his story, leading many to believe foul play was involved. Now, here comes the conspiracy. Jimmy Snuka was a rising star in WWF, and Vince McMahon reportedly showed up during his questioning. Since then, there's been speculation, both from fans and critics for decades, that Vince may have tried to use his influence and power to protect Snuka from any charges after all was said and done. This sounds exactly like a crime TV show, right? But it was very real. The case went cold for several decades. In 2015, they reopened it, and the authorities charged Snuka with third-degree murder and manslaughter. However, Snuka was soon found to be mentally unfit to stand trial due to dementia and passed away shortly after. 23. The brand split was designed to hide steroid use.
Look at that! Just largest athlete in the world, just inches away.
One of the weirdest WWE conspiracies is that the 2002 brand split was introduced for a very specific reason: to hide steroid use. It's a well-known fact that WWE designed the brand split because they had too many wrestlers after buying WCW and wanted to give them proper screen time. But the conspiracy theorists saw the suspicious rotations, unexplained absences, and separate shows as signs that something bigger was going on behind the scenes. Some even claimed that the wellness policy was just a decoy to keep their shady activities under the radar. We'll never know what was going on inside Vince's mind. 22. Randy Savage and Stephanie McMahon affair.
Urban legends, the Randy Savage and Stephanie McMahon.
Now, let's examine WWE's most disgusting conspiracy theory: the alleged affair between Macho Man Randy Savage and a young Stephanie McMahon. The rumor is that back in the mid-90s, Savage had a relationship with Stephanie while she was still a teenager. Vince McMahon reportedly found out about that and banished Savage from WWF until the end of time. The story only started getting heat in 2004 when users published their weird theories on various websites. But till date, no one has come up with credible information regarding what's really the truth. So, how did this conspiracy theory manifest? For one, Savage left WWE abruptly in 1994, and Vince never even mentioned him in the past on television. However, in 2015, Macho Man was finally inducted into the Hall of Fame, 4 years after his untimely demise. This conspiracy is wild, but there have been rumors that WWE's most shocking death might have been planned. Stick around till the end. You won't want to miss this conspiracy theory. 21. The Two Ultimate Warriors theory.
From the heavens above, as they spoke to me and hit me with the power of the Ultimate Warrior.
You ever heard of the Two Ultimate Warriors conspiracy? The conversation about this conspiracy is still alive among WWE fans. So here's the story. In 1992 at WrestleMania 8, when the Ultimate Warrior made a triumphant return, a lot of fans did think something was off about him. He looked thin, didn't have long hair, and just had a different vibe overall. That was the start of one of the craziest conspiracies in wrestling, that the real Warrior died, and WWF replaced him with a carbon copy just to keep money coming in. Sounds crazy, right? But this went viral, even in a pre-internet digital era. Fans would point to the way the face paint was applied differently, how his voice had changed, and even his movements in the ring. The Ultimate Warrior was inducted into the Hall of Fame on April 6, 2014. 2 days later, he sadly passed away due to an apparent heart attack, leaving his theory still a mystery. 20. Stone Cold's beers were fake. Here's a conspiracy theory that refuses to die. Were Stone Cold Steve Austin's infamous beer bashes real? Let's think about this. Each week, Austin would storm the ring, raise hell, and smash beers like a madman. But some fans started to wonder if WWE really allowed their top star to slam 6-packs of beer on live television. Or was it just all a clever trick with non-alcoholic beer? Stone Cold has claimed that it was the real stuff. Those cans he smashed, spilled, and chugged were all real American lagers. Many fans suspect that he's just lying to keep the kayfabe real. 19. WWE tied to the Illuminati.
Not over yet. What do you think?
It would be remiss of us to speak about conspiracies without mentioning the Illuminati. So for decades, conspiracy theorists have analyzed WWE events to show hand signals, set designs, and alt-culture symbols as evidence of some larger scheme. Bray Wyatt's cult-like imagery has all been linked by fans and conspiracy theorists alike to the classic iconography of the Illuminati. Some argue that Vince McMahon's global expansion has mirrored the alleged ideals of the Illuminati and that of a homogeneous world control. But let's discuss this in detail. Wrestling is a spectacle set on myth-making. WWE has always used religious symbols, occult imagery, and cultural symbols to market its characters. The Undertaker's Gothic crosses and Wyatt's The Fiend aren't codes. They're just marketing platforms. So is WWE an Illuminati front? Well, we're not sure. But if the Illuminati's main purpose is to create influence and control, WWE has been doing better than anyone. 18. Vince McMahon sent Russo to destroy WCW. In the prime of the Monday Night Wars, WCW was essentially bulletproof until 1999, when head writer Vince Russo swam the rivers of blood from WWF to WCW. Then it was all chaos, terrible storylines, unfinished feuds, and general discontent. Then, somewhere in all that chaos, the conspiracy started to unfold. Did Vince McMahon secretly plan to recruit Russo to destroy WCW from the inside? It was no secret that he hated their bitter rivals with passion. So many suspect that while leading the ascension of WWF, Vince put a Trojan horse in WWE's biggest competitor. In recent years, Russo has mocked the conspiracy, calling it insanity. He says that he left WWF over personal issues, not based on some secret agenda. But many fans still believe that he's not telling the entire truth. Well, it is something we may never find out. 17. The Undertaker and Kane are real-life brothers.
Y'all really brothers, right? Oh, yeah. Half brothers. Always clarify it. We're half brothers.
This is probably one of the most persistent conspiracy theories in WWE, that The Undertaker and Kane are real-life brothers. Fans have bought into it so intensely, well before the internet, that an entire generation thought it was true. It all started in 1997 at Bad Blood, In Your House, when Kane made his memorable debut by ruining The Undertaker's Hell in a Cell match. The storyline? Kane was The Undertaker's long-lost half-brother who was supposedly burned during a fire that The Undertaker caused. Dark, twisted, and supernatural, fans were hooked. Even though the family drama was fictional, the chemistry between the two was 100% real. Their run together as the Brothers of Destruction became legendary, with multiple tag titles and unforgettable moments in WWE history. Although the conspiracy theory is one of the weaker ones, I refuse to believe anything other than the fact that they are brothers. 16. Shawn Michaels held back to prevent defection. Here's a backstage conspiracy theory that's continued to be discussed by wrestling fans for many years. Did WWF purposely hold back Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, to prevent him from leaving the company? In the mid-90s, Michaels was one of the top guys in wrestling. His in-ring ability was unparalleled. His charisma was off the charts, and wrestling fans wanted WWF to push him to the main event every week. But it felt like there were times when he would be lost in the shuffle, dropped down the card, or worse, left out of big angles. Enter the conspiracy theory that WWE was scared Michaels would go to WCW and purposely held back his opportunities while keeping him under contract. That seems reasonable, doesn't it? Especially during the Monday Night Wars, when WWF was known for treating their talent like chess pieces. This is one of those theories that may never find a definitive conclusion. 15. Elias, Ezekiel, Elrod equals the same person?
I admit, my name is Elias. I knew it! I told you!
One of the funniest theories in WWE is whether Elias, Ezekiel, and Elrod are actually the same person. Elias, the guitar-playing drifter who entertained WWE fans for years, was suddenly joined by a supposed younger brother Ezekiel. The audience immediately began to notice that the two had identical height, build, voice, in-ring style, etc. They never appeared at the same time either, which set off a storm of online theories. The crazy thing is that WWE even teased a third brother, Elrod, but he never made it to TV. So was WWE really trying to pass off the same wrestler under two different names? Things got even wilder when Kevin Owens made it his personal mission to expose Ezekiel as Elias in disguise. In September of 2023, the truth finally came out. Elias was released from WWE, and he confirmed on social media that he indeed had portrayed both characters. He even joked that he was his own younger brother Zeke while traveling the world. So, yeah, WWE technically gave us a Family Feud storyline with only one family member. 14. Triple H married Stephanie to control WWE.
Many times did we consummate the marriage?
Let's get to one of WWE's most delicious backstage rumors. Did Triple H marry Stephanie McMahon as a way to climb the corporate ladder? It all started back in 1999, when Triple H married Stephanie in a de facto drive-through chapel in Las Vegas, which instantly started speculation by fans about to what degree that on-screen storyline bled into real life. Fast forward to 2003, the couple legitimately married, and Triple H was not only a top wrestler, he had become a major power player and top WWE executive. This conspiracy theory argues that Triple H married Vince McMahon's daughter solely to gain a permanent chair at the corporate table. Look at where he's right now. The man is running the shots and is on his way to become a billionaire. No wonder he's called The Game. 13. The plane ride from hell was planned. Ah, yes, the plane ride from hell. It's one of WWE's most notorious off-screen disasters, and it also gave rise to one of its juiciest conspiracy theories. In May of 2002, WWE wrestlers and staff were coming back to the States after a European tour when absolute chaos ensued. Crazy amounts of drinking led to fights, sexual harassment, and complete mayhem which left the fight in shambles. Some wrestlers, including Scott Hall and Curt Hennig, were immediately fired. Others got suspended and fined. Here's where the conspiracy comes in. Some fans believe that Vince McMahon and WWE executives purposely orchestrated the incident, using the fight as an opportunity to fire certain talent they were already looking to fire. So in theory, the craziness on the flight gave WWE a legitimate excuse to get rid of contracts without getting publicly criticized. While there's no proof that WWE planned the chaos, the firings were rather quickly timed in the same time frame as the flight incident, and the secrecy surrounding details makes this an interesting story. 12. John Cena's injury in 2007 was exaggerated. In 2007, John Cena completely tore his right pec tendon. The doctor said he would need 6 to 8 months to heal. Standard fare. But in a wild twist, John Cena returned at the 2008 Royal Rumble, just 3 months later, looking better than ever. Fans started to put the pieces together. How does someone tear a tendon and then come back in half the expected time? That's where the conspiracy theory comes from. Some people think that WWE was either dishonest about Cena's injuries from the beginning, turning the injury into almost a storyline, where Cena would display the resilience of a superhero. Or at the very least, they took the angle to push the ratings and create a legendary return moment. This would cement Cena as the hero in the eyes of fans. And John Cena wasn't alone. WWE has a history of blurring reality. Legends like Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, and Shawn Michaels have all had miraculous recoveries that made fans raise an eyebrow. 11. Vince McMahon caused ECW's downfall. In the late 1990s, ECW was the rebel promotional company, a relatable underdog for many fans, but there are people who believe otherwise. Some people suspect Vince McMahon may have been behind the scenes, pulling ECW's strings. McMahon never owned ECW, but assisted financially and gave loans during its toughest stretch. WWE Hall of Famer Jim Ross revealed that McMahon was paying Paul Heyman monthly just to keep ECW operational. It was widely accepted that his ultimate plan was to obtain ECW's video library when ECW went belly up in 2001. In 2006, WWE brought back ECW as a brand, with McMahon as the controlling owner. Former ECW talent Rob Van Dam proposed this was not to honor the legacy ECW created, but rather to diminish it, suggesting it was McMahon's way of destroying the promotion he once loathed. This might be one of the rare times where the conspiracy later became partially true. 10. Montreal Screwjob was part of the work.
WCW, and you knew something big was going on.
We all know the infamous Montreal Screwjob of 1997, right? Bret was on his way to WCW, and in his last match, he was defending his title against Shawn Michaels. He didn't want to lose in his homeland, and Vince promised to end the match in a disqualification and later have him forfeit the title. But Vince had a sinister idea in mind. Midway through the match, Michaels had Bret in the sharpshooter, and although the hitman never tapped, the bell rang and the match was over. Vince had screwed him over in real life. But what if it wasn't a screw job at all? Some fans claim that Vince McMahon, Bret, and Shawn Michaels planned the whole thing. The ref rings the bell without a submission? The plan was to blur the lines of reality and create insane buzz. According to sources, this could have been WWE's biggest work, by mixing real tension and scripted tension, and making history on pay-per-view along with raising ratings. Every fan reaction, every news story, and every rumor added to the mystique. If true, it was genius. Taking a questionable finish and turning it into one of the most talked about moments in wrestling history? Basically, they turned betrayal into a marketing campaign. 9. Chris Benoit framed by Kevin Sullivan. In 2007, the wrestling world was rocked when Chris Benoit, his wife Nancy, and their young son were found dead in their apartment. The official investigation determined it was a horrific double murder-suicide, but it didn't take long for conspiracy theories to emerge. One of the most popular theories? Recently retired Kevin Sullivan, Benoit's former WCW colleague and Nancy Benoit's ex-husband, somehow orchestrated a plan for revenge. Fans point to Sullivan's dark wrestling persona, his real-life feud with Benoit, and his past relationship with Nancy as evidence of a sinister plot. Here's the reality. All investigations determined that Kevin Sullivan was not involved. The cops thoroughly investigated him and found nothing shady. It's proof that in wrestling, sometimes the only thing more dramatic than the ring is the internet. 8. CM Punk joined WWE to destroy AEW. In 2023, fans in Chicago went absolutely bonkers when their hometown hero CM Punk made a shocking return to WWE at Survivor Series, just months after he exited AEW. However, fans started spreading a wild conspiracy and began to question, didn't this hope and excitement on Punk's return really stem from AEW? The timing makes you think. Punk was removed from AEW following a very public drama with Jack Perry. Almost immediately, WWE got Punk and gave him one of the biggest stages possible to once again run wild. The conspiracy? Punk's return wasn't just a return, it was a strategic move to take eyes, ratings, and momentum away from AEW and destabilize from the inside. Till now, there's no concrete evidence that this was WWE's objective or Punk's motive, but given the timeline, it's easy to consider that Punk's timing with WWE was purposeful. Wrestling fans are very accustomed to seeing a blurred line between reality and fiction. 7. Vince planned Owen Hart's death.
Owen Hart has tragically died from an accident.
On May 23, 1999, Owen Hart, while donning the blue blazer gimmick, fell to his death before a live audience on WWF's Over the Edge event. Officially, he died due to a harness malfunction, but that isn't what conspiracy theorists believe happened. Some fans contend that Vince McMahon was involved. The theory goes that Owen had injured one of Vince's prized wrestlers, Stone Cold Steve Austin, in a match prior to Over the Edge. Combine that with Vince's lingering anger over the Montreal Screwjob with Owen's brother Bret, and theorists claim there was a potential motive for foul play. Others point out that the WWE aired the show after Owen's fall as evidence of either negligence or calculating risk. Some believed Vince would take safety second as a gesture of revenge for Owen in a high-flying stunt. 6. Rick Rude's death. Rick Rude, a top-tier professional wrestler, died on April 20th, 1999. He was only 40 years young. Officially, Rick died of heart failure caused by an accidental overdose. However, the internet world is not so swift to accept. Rick's lifestyle inside and out of the ring created rampant speculation. Fans thought that he was a user of anabolic steroids to sustain his legendary body. There are also conspiracies that Rick was reportedly using Viagra and had injection complications. Some of Rude's associates claimed doctors told him that his penis's amputation was the only option. According to some rumors, Rude's death occurred after the operation was completed, and he committed the unthinkable because he was unable to cope with the loss. People started asking questions once these extreme lifestyles were combined with drug use and pressure from professional wrestling added to the mix. Was this merely an accident, or did the actions he and the culture around professional wrestling allowed him to ultimately push him too far? 5. Mabel considered to be the third man.
Hulk Hogan has betrayed WCW. He is the third man. Look at this picture.
When Hulk Hogan turned heel and joined Scott Hall and Kevin Nash to form the New World Order at the 1996 Bash at the Beach pay-per-view, the wrestling industry was forever altered. But there was a lot of conjecture before the show about who the third man would be. Following Crush's consideration and subsequent dismissal, Dave Meltzer reported in the July 1st issue of the Wrestling Observer newsletter that Hall, Nash, and Eric Bischoff were debating a number of names, with 1995 King of the Ring champion Mabel emerging as a potential contender. That would be Mabel, who was widely viewed as a letdown following his brief period of dominance that prompted WWF to let him go. According to The Observer, some fans anticipated that Mabel, a former WWF employee determined to destroy WCW from within, would join the Outsiders. Whatever it be, Hulk Hogan was the perfect leader of the NWO, and it is still regarded as the most badass villainous group in professional wrestling history. 4. Vince McMahon and Shawn Michaels. What if I told you that one of the most outrageous rumors in WWE history has nothing to do with backstage politics or screwjobs? It's the theory that Vince McMahon and Shawn Michaels were secretly in love. Yeah, you heard that right. Fans believe that the boss and Shawn Michaels were legitimately dating. For decades, there have been rumors about this one. Supporters cite HBK's wild push in the 1990s, his ability to get away with nearly anything backstage, and Vince's relentless protection of him as proof that their relationship went beyond business. Chael Sonnen's offhand mention of it on a podcast was where it all began. He claimed that Vince had slept with a number of WWE celebrities, including men.
Used to bang dudes a lot.
Oh, yeah. But he would hold their careers over, just like he would the women. It was the same thing. You get paid more, you get pushed.
Whether the boss and HBK were actually in an affair is highly debated. But we've seen crazier things happen in the world of professional wrestling, so who knows? 3. The Undertaker is dead.
Oh my God. The dead has risen.
This might just be the craziest theory on the list. Fans believe that The Undertaker passed away and they're just using his doppelganger to keep the show going. Yeah, they believe the dead man died for real. What makes it funnier is that death and resurrection was the entire gimmick of this guy. On TV, The Undertaker handled death as if it was any other Tuesday. After being buried alive, imprisoned in caskets, and poofed away in a cloud of smoke, the man reappears months later, emerging out of the shadows as if nothing had occurred. It makes sense why the rumors of his real death began to circulate online. Could you really blame them for not bothering to fact-check? There was essentially no distinction between what was storyline and what was real. The craziest part, for decades, Mark Calloway barely deviated from his character, and his deviation fueled the myth even more. Every time he returned after supposedly being dead, there was an unsettling feeling that he might actually be immortal. 2. WWE controls the stock market. The idea here is that WWE times returns, releases, and PR to steer its share price. The theory is that when a big superstar returns, the prices of stock will rise significantly. Take Brock Lesnar's return in 2012, for example. The fans went absolutely wild, and interestingly, WWE's stock price also saw a boost around that time. Many financial experts have also refuted this. They claim that what happens in the ring has nothing to do with the stock market, but the truth has never been confirmed. 1. Jennifer Aniston and Rey Mysterio dating.
In 1997, you were dating Jennifer Aniston. About a week.
This might be the goofiest gossip in wrestling. When Friends was at its peak back in the late 90s, a tabloid ran a crazy headline that claimed Rachel Green had screwed a masked high flyer of WCW. Fans were excited. Hollywood meets Lucha Legacy. It sounded like the perfect crossover episode. Rey Mysterio later confirmed on a Logan Paul podcast that the story was 100% bullshit. He claimed that when his wife heard of the rumors, she laughed hysterically, and wrestlers backstage teased him mercilessly for years afterward. Wrestling reporters like Dave Meltzer claimed it was all a work to get Rey some attention outside wrestling. But Jennifer Aniston has never commented on this. So, who knows? There might actually be some truth in this.